Hi y'all, welcome to a new video. If you are new here, my name is Rachel. I am an artist, I'm a quilter, I am a lover of all things color and texture. I am also neurodivergent, I'm disabled, and a lot of my content revolves around makeup, beauty, consumerism, ways to kind of hack consumerism, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to talk about purchasing specifically makeup on the secondhand market. So, what am I talking about when I say the secondhand market? I mean Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace, any place where you can purchase other people's stuff, you can find makeup. So, we're going to talk about the things that you want to look for, the things to avoid, and I'm going to share my rules for what I purchase and why. Why should you buy makeup secondhand versus buying from a large retailer, Sephora, Ulta, even indie brands? It's environmentally friendly. You are taking something that already exists in the world as an item that is eventually going to be disposed of, and you are giving it a second life. That right there is one of the reasons that I do buy secondhand. Products are usually less expensive. Usually. Sometimes you get people who think that because they have an item that, retails for $29, that they can put it up on the resale market for $29 and expect to recoup their money. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works, especially if the thing that they're selling is still available in the retail market. If it's still available brand new and it costs the same upfront, because then you usually have to pay shipping, you usually have to pay some kind of taxes or buyer's fee. There doesn't seem to be a point in purchasing that kind of makeup secondhand. So be sure to look out for the cost versus savings paradigm when you are buying makeup secondhand. Make sure that you are getting an authentic product. Like, this is a problem in the cosmetic market, in the cosmetic world. It is very easy for less reputable brands to go putting out copycat makeup on the market, flooding the resale market with it, and then you don't know when you're purchasing something if you are getting the authentic product. That right there, that authenticity is gonna make or break your purchase. Buying makeup secondhand is a way to get stuff that has been discontinued, to get shades that have been discontinued, to get items that were limited edition. One of the things that I appreciate about NARS is they don't have products that stay in rotation in their brand. They're constantly, like every few months, establishing a new palette. So their palettes don't stick around long. This is what makes it easy to move on to my next point. So my next point is it keeps makeup that is still good cycling through and people using it with the possibility of finishing it. So what I mean by that is I buy a blush, brand new. I don't like it. It's not a color or a formula that I like. And instead of returning it to the store where I know that that blush is just going to get thrown in the trash, I will put it on the secondhand market for about 2/3 of what I paid for it. So if something costs $30 new, I'll list it for about 20, being prepared to dicker down a few dollars. So if this palette costs $39, I'm going to put it up for sale for $22, $25. And because this is limited edition, I could probably ramp that up. But I also know that there are a lot of these palettes out there, and anybody looking to buy one is not necessarily going to go for the one that costs the same. So there are a lot of considerations to take into account when buying and selling something that is limited edition. Some people will just jack up the price. I am seeing those large, like House Labs reduce the size of their blushes. These are 5 grams now versus 12 grams. So I have seen the blushes that are this size jacked up to 80, 90. Some of the discontinued shades are well over 100. And I'm just sitting here shaking my head like, do you really expect to make $100 on that single blush? It's just, be wary. Be wary of the things that look a little too good to be true, that feel like, trust your instincts, trust your gut. That's the most important thing. Trust your gut. Make sure that you take a really good look at your images. If they only have an image of the box and the front of the packaging, move on. Because that means that the product inside is not in the best shape and they don't want to show that. So you need to look into and kind of infer what they mean by the information provided. Some people will copy and paste the text from the item description into their item description. And that's fine. There's no problem with that because then we know what it is, where it came from. But you also want to take a look at when it was posted. You know, I've seen things that have been up for 2-3 years, and I get wary of those. You are also supporting a small seller. When you buy something secondhand, you are effectively supporting a small business. You know, if you are one of these shop local, shop small, it's better to buy something from somebody that is selling it secondhand for a discount. That's really up to you to weigh that decision. Do I want to buy it from Sephora where I know I'm going to get a new product? If it's broken, I can return it. Or do I want to take a chance on this small seller in the resale market? Let's talk about my rules for what is okay to purchase and what is not okay to purchase. First thing that is okay to purchase, powders, eyeshadows, blushes, cheek products, anything in a compact that can be opened, and sprayed with 70% isopropyl rubbing alcohol. So why do you want 70% isopropyl alcohol instead of 90? You would think that the 90% would be stronger, it would be more effective in sanitizing makeup. But what you want is something with a little bit of water to keep the rubbing alcohol in the product longer. That's going to make sure that the entire thing is sanitized. It's going to take a little longer to evaporate. It's fine. Spray it, put it in a safe place, and just let it do its thing. All you have to do is spray the surface, because unless somebody's gone in and like stuck their finger in there and really mucked it up, powder products are usually a win. I have bought high-end makeup products. I bought this Victoria Beckham bronzing brick that I got for $36. I love it. This MSRP is for like $66. So I adore this. And I feel very fancy knowing that like I have that luxury experience at literally half the price. So I also do single eyeshadows, shadows in pots, you know, all of that stuff. That is great. Use it, enjoy it, but make sure you sanitize it first. This is as close as I get to buying a liquid blush used. And by used, I mean the sponge had a little bit of product on the tip. I cleaned the sponge with micellar water. I wanted to make sure I didn't have any product left in there. And then I soaked it in rubbing alcohol. I wanted to make sure the entire sponge tip was saturated, and then I left it open to dry. I made sure that the little twisty thing was closed because you don't want to dry out the blush on top. But this is as close as I get to buying something that could potentially harbor bacteria, as opposed to something like this with a doe foot, where as soon as I've used it, I've contaminated the entire tube of product. I stay far, far away from this kind of stuff. Lip products, liquid eyeshadows, blushes, I don't want it. I don't want it. I will purchase something in a pump. If something comes in a jar or a bottle and has a pump, I feel pretty good about saying, all right, that should be sterile. The product inside the bottle should be sterile. Now, whether or not it actually is, again, trust your gut. Ask, don't be afraid to message the seller and ask questions. I am usually okay buying stick products. So a stick that can be sanitized, you can twist up the entire stick and spray it with rubbing alcohol. You also want to make sure you get the entire packaging. I also don't have a problem buying liquid products in tubes. This is usually a pretty sterile situation, but for me, you know, whether or not something is sanitizable is the biggest factor as to whether or not I purchase it. So I'm not buying things like the Makeup by Mario Soft Skin Enhancer. I'm not buying balm blushes that you just open because I don't know what's in there. I don't know who's touched it, and I don't want to get sick. Let's talk about the cost versus use analysis. Am I better buying this blush on a resale site for $22, $25 and paying $4 or $5 in shipping when I could walk into Sephora and buy a brand new one for $35? That is not a question I can answer, but that is a question that you need to ask yourself when you're buying something. Does the taxes and the shipping add up to a number that you are comfortable with? And are you paying more for the secondhand product versus the new one? That's where you have to do your own math. You really have to figure that out for yourself. I can't tell you, but it is something that you need to take into account. Another like red flag, this is a blaring red flag. If you are looking at a product and you know that the packaging has been changed in the last year to 2 years, and you're seeing a product in the old packaging, steer far, far away. That is my advice, is don't buy anything that's in old packaging. If you are looking at buying an Urban Decay eyeshadow and you've still got that round double pan plastic situation instead of the clear acrylic packaging, don't buy the old one because you don't know how old that is. You know by looking at it that it's older packaging, and that means that it's an older product. So one of the things I really look for is details. I want to know how long ago you bought that. I want to know if it's been used, if it's been opened, but not touched. Sometimes people will open a product to take a photo and then put it back. And I really appreciate that imagery rather than just copy and pasting what the brand has posted online. Because I'm actually looking at the thing I'm buying instead of corporate imagery. It allows me to look to see if there's fingerprints in it, if there's hard pan. Now, you can remove hard pan pretty easily, but nonetheless, you don't want to buy a product that has been hard panned for more than it's worth, or for a substantial amount more than you would consider paying for it new. What's the price cost difference? And is it worth purchasing something that has hard pan? All right, let's talk about pricing and haggling, because I have bought some things after haggling, but usually those things have been on the resale market for a while. I purchased a Rowan Disco Eyes single eyeshadow because the buyer kept lowering the price to the point where after I paid for shipping, I want to say I paid $7 for this. So my brain went, well, even if it's a piece of junk, I can still break it apart, repress it, and play with it. This is not something that I mind being brand new because I paid so little for it. Now, this is a Victoria Beckham lid luster in the shade Tea Rose. This was in really beautiful shape when I got it. I have hard panned it a little bit. I will actually have to go in and remove that with some tape, but that was my own doing. This came in perfect shape. It was beautiful. So you really have to decide what kind of quality are you willing to sacrifice for a lower price. You also want to look at the age of the listing. How long has this item been up for sale? And is that going to affect the price that I'm willing to pay for it? So if it's a product that's been up for a year and it hasn't really sold, the seller might be willing to negotiate a price with you. You just have to ask. The worst they can do is say no. I've had that happen several times, and I offer a different price, and sometimes it's taken and sometimes it's not. Let's talk about some of the things I have purchased secondhand and why I decided to buy them. I mean, the Victoria Beckham bronzing brick was literally half the price. I couldn't say no to it. The Natasha Denona My Dream palette, this was brand new when it arrived. It was still in the box. The mirror still had the protective film on it. None of the shadows had been touched. And I got this for half price too. I think it was luck, and it was also learning how to analyze listings to make sure you're getting the product that you want at the best price possible. I've bought a bunch of single eyeshadows. I've got one of the Hourglass Scattered Lights. I mentioned the Victoria Beckham. I also found a Chantecaille shadow. Now, this is where you're going to find a downside. If you are buying something that you don't really have experience with, like this was my first time buying a Chantecaille eyeshadow, and I got really excited. It's beautiful. It's the zebra. This is the zebra, or the zebra, which is rose gold. It's lovely. Now, the concern I have is this old and hard panned? Because it feels very dry, and there's not a ton of color, but there is a lot of shine. Did I get one that is old or fake? I don't know, but I have used this several times and I do really like it as is, but you run the risk of getting something that you're completely unfamiliar with. So you can't really tell, is this new? Is it old? Did I get taken for a ride? That right there is a big question. We've already talked about the seasonality of NARS eyeshadow palettes. There's other stuff. Charlotte Tilbury does release a lot of limited edition or seasonal products. The nice thing about that is you can go research how old those are, so you possibly know, so you know how old the product is. Things I would avoid at all costs. Anything that has pan, because it takes a long time to hit pan, and you know that that product is not going to be usable. Also, ew, no, we don't do that. I have seen people put out just listing sample packaging. It's packages of samples, and they want money for this crap. And it's like, it's stuff that you get in your Sephora boxes. It's stuff that you get in subscription boxes. It's the little sachets of concealer, but it might be the Armani concealer, which they think people are willing to buy pay $7 for a bundle. Drugstore makeup. I don't buy drugstore makeup secondhand. Just don't, find a coupon, get your extra bucks. Don't buy drugstore makeup secondhand. I just wouldn't. Anything that looks like it has heavy use, anything that looks like it has just been run through the ringer, don't. Just don't. Just pass it up and be done with it. You're gonna come across listings that make you kind of shake your head. And I would double check if you have products that you're interested in. Make sure that that seller has been selling things for a while and is a little more reputable. That right there is the big thing. You don't know what you're getting, so you need to be as cautious as possible. That being said, rolling the dice can really pay off at times. I hope this video was enjoyable. I hope this video was informational. If you have any other things that you look for when you are buying makeup secondhand, or if you sell makeup secondhand, leave me a comment down below and let me know what are your pet peeves, what are your tips and tricks that help you kind of navigate the resale market in a smarter way. To my current subscribers, thank you all for being here. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your support. Please like, subscribe, all of that stuff if you haven't. Again, if you are new here, my name is Rachel. I love beauty and I love talking about it. And I guess I just love talking out loud to a camera. With all that being said, I hope you are taking care of yourselves so you can take care of each other. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye, friends. I got it. Ow, ow, ow. I gotta lift my leg. Oh my God, I'm too old for this shit. Oof. Good morning, America. All right. Good morning, America? That was strange. Oh my God. This morning, my physical therapist and I were cracking up about the pole vaulter whose package got stuck on the pole vault. Got stuck on the pole. He landed in 12th place in front of a hometown crowd, and I feel so bad for him, but at the same time, like that is what I love about the Olympics. It's